Hi, this is just a reminder for people who maybe didn't listen to the announcement episode that Duckfest is coming. Please save the date, August 31st, 2019, in Portland, Oregon at the Clinton Street Theater, a full day of Duckfeed podcasts and other friends and shows and things like that. It's going to be a good time. Once again, August the 31st, Portland, Oregon. More details and ticketing to come.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast dispatch episode.
Yes, as Gary said, this is the dispatch episode for June. As usual, we are going to read your questions and prompts, talk about a long-form topic, again, suggested by you, and then read your responses to the games that we've covered here this month for Puzzle Month.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. These are always fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Just as always, if this is something where you want to submit a question or a topic, the way you do that is by being a patron. If you go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, you can submit a question.
Yeah.
We know that a bunch of people have submitted topics, and we only do one of those a month. So just so you know, we're aware of that. We're going to do kind of a roundup as well. So some of the reason to be a patron is you'll get kind of a bonus episode of us just kind of chatting about these questions to kind of clean out the backlog a little bit.
Yeah. You guys give us a lot to chew on.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're going to get right into it. I'll go first because I'm getting some old ones out of the way and I have an answer for this. Matt Laniovich asked, what popular games or trends do you not get why they are popular? I do not understand I don't understand playing multiple like open world multiplayer survival crafting games.
Okay.
And why there are a billion of these. Yeah. And not like I don't get it. Zelda 1 came before Zelda 2. But then Zelda 3 came. I'm not trying to do that, but it just kind of like it just feels like I can see you like people you all see like Rust is real cool, but Survival Z simulators coming out.
Yeah.
Like that'll be the new shit. And like when you at least on the surface they all seem very identical to me.
Yeah. So I think that I am slightly more amenable to that type of game than you are. And I do not mean to speak for everybody, but for me, that intimidates me. Even though I like those kinds of games, because that feels like a coordinative effort. Like here, this new game is coming out, and I need to make sure that I get onto a server with some friends so we can do that. Like, we've all got to play Astroneer, so we're going to hop on and play Astroneer together.
Yeah.
I
guess because it's in general it plays into a lot of things that don't work for me for games, and I know that they're just me, right? Like I don't like playing games with other people very much.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I understand the appeal of that. It's just the fact that it feels like almost actionably similar series of like post-apocalyptic survival crafting games.
Right.
Yeah.
See anything that kind of forked off of DayZ.
Sure.
DayZ
and Rust are the big, beginning like progenitors, it feels like.
Right. And at least it seemed like for at least 18 months I would get recommendations from Steam Greenlight that was all a bunch of stuff like that. The forest, etc.
Early access, like kind of incomplete, janky. I'm not saying you couldn't find fun in it. I just don't know why. It's almost like this weird hermit crabbing thing where it's like it feels like people go into these things and they're really fun when they're not huge, and then they get really big and people get popular, and then maybe they go to a new one because it won't have this huge population. It's like using up all the planet's resources.
Yes.
And then going to another planet. Almost.
Yeah. Sometimes literally in the case of Starbound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that would be my kind of trend that I don't get. And then like popular game, it's very Kingdom Hearts, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and that seems very stupid to me, and I don't understand how people tolerate it. Like just this is dumb that it's goofy and it's very dramatic. It's not cool that it's goofy and it's very dramatic. That's gross. It gives me a repulsion like spider instinct. Like get away from me. Like
that is a snake. No, Gary, it's Mickey and Donald. No, that's a snake together.
Those are snakes. It's three snakes and a Nomura fuckboy, and they go into an adventure, and I cannot have them near me. Like it's like going to sleep with one like a snake in the room that you don't know. Like, and not like a pet snake.
Yeah, they literally Shere Khan.
Roll like 1D snake, and that's like that's the kind of snake you have in your room, and you just go to sleep. And you're like, well, I just have to trust there's a snake there. It feels like that. Like just get it away from me. But that's the obvious answer. The trend is open world survival crafting games.
Yeah, I only have one as a trend, and it'll feel like I'm doing just a bit, but anything with loot boxes or kind of randomness built into it. And I understand that the conversation now thoroughly, at least the people speaking loudly about this, is a reaction against that as being predatory, et cetera, et cetera. I look at that, and it is very difficult for me to put myself into the mindset of somebody who is taken in by it.
Sure.
Just like it's really, I don't see who responds to like obvious spam or whatever.
Yeah,
it happens enough to make it viable, and I understand the psychology and the gross marketing stuff behind it, but it's like, how do you not see through that?
Yeah. It's weird too, because there's the backlash, then the forward lash, then the backlash, and then the backlash has been co-opted. Like I'm not a big E3 guy. I didn't watch E3, but I watched some commentary on it. So it showed some clips and similar snake repulsion vibes. Like that's how I feel about anything now. It's just like this like intense, like, get this away from me. If it's bad.
Is that how conservatives feel?
I guess all the time. But just having somebody go up on stage and be like, and guess what? No loot boxes.
Cool.
And then the audience goes apeshit, and I'm like, you guys invented this fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do you don't get to like be like, set a house on fire and then be like, and this time we're not setting the house on fire. And then everyone's like, yeah. And I was like, you guys are all fucking idiots in this audience. Like, just eat it up. Just like pigs to the fucking trough. Like, like, oh, please, master, give me, don't exploit me. I love it. I love you for not exploiting me. You can do whatever you want to me.
You're so ethical. It's a new day for publishers.
Oh, you're so ethical. I fucking love it. Do whatever you want to me. Do what you want with my body, ethical publicist. Like, it's so fucking gross, man. Like, have some dignity.
Yeah.
Nerds. I don't like them either. Like, they're bad, but you can't just like give somebody a huge fucking award for not doing something they never should have done.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not going to exploit you. Oh my God, that's so yes, Queen. Like, do it. Fucking hey.
Yeah.
E3, no dignity out of that. There's no dignity on either side.
No diggity party. And no dignity.
Yeah, no diggity didn't show up this year. There wasn't like the no diggity dance off or just dance. And there's no dignity involved in any part of it.
Oh.
So
we need to pick up the pace. We're only going to get through 5 this time.
That's true. We got to go. We got to go.
Yeah. Let's see here. Ben Zapaka writes, what does your ideal Resident Evil 8 look like? Where is it set? Who do you play as? What is the defining mechanic? I would like for it to continue the Resident Evil 7 storyline in some form or fashion. I would like them to go back to first person, and I would like to see them do it in a desert. Put it in the Southwest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm pretty like at this point, Capcom with that franchise, specifically has gotten this weird amount of trust from me now. So I want them to surprise me. Like, I feel like as reboots got iterated on, that's generally what made them worse other than the first time with Resident Evil. So like you look at 4 and then like 5 was worse. And then 6, I like a little bit more than 5, but was undeniably worse than 4. Like, I don't think they should reinvent, but I think them building on some of the mythology from 7, I think that's something they're not great at. You know, like I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. Like I'd like to see him give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else I'd want, but I don't. I think they get into trouble.
Yeah.
When they're like building on mythology.
Yeah. When I say that, when I say, oh, continue 7, what I don't want them to try and do is dovetail it further back into the Umbrella narrative.
Yeah.
To like if it becomes an RE5 or RE6, it's like they're Plagueis again now, along with the fungus and along with the molded and everything. Like I think that is where it gets, keep it small, keep it localized. If there are going to be those connections, make them scarce.
Yeah. I would also like to see an imaginative setting, and that sounds easy, but it's not,
right?
Because I think that Resident Evil games like have been at their best when they are in a city or a mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And typically when they go to a ship or a train,
the ship is always the death knell.
The ship sucks. Trains suck. Like, I think when they're on these other locations, it kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so finding something they can do, and the mansion was like sublime in 7,
yes,
right? Like really, really good. I think that finding a good setting that is not a mansion, and you can end in a lab. Of course, you have to end in the lab. That's fine. But typically they have like 2 locations and then a lab. And choosing something, like what they did with the RE2 remake with the sewer was like really great. Yeah. Because that's not a location I'd ever say that I would want, but it actually turned out to be pretty good. Get some good locations. That's not just a mansion. Like I love mansions. I'll explore mansions every day, every video game for the rest of my life. Yeah. But give me something different.
So when I speak with specificity about it, they've earned my trust as well. I will take any surprise they can give me. That's just kind of like, if I was thinking, oh yeah, like this seems like a place they could go because they've not done that specifically,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Love it. Like I'm really excited for whatever they do with the franchise. It's great to be like very excited about a franchise.
Yes.
Now, which is not always the case for me. Where I'm just like, I'm very excited for that franchise. Yeah. Here's a question that I think is interesting, but also like fairly easy. So Andrew T asks, and basically, rather than read the entire question, when do you consider a game finished? And has that changed over time? So is it credits? Is it once you get bored? Is it once you 100% it, etc.? And that's a great question because it is. We talked about achievements and stuff. Achievements would be a great topic. Nobody's asked us about that, but I would love to talk about achievements. But people like talk about that with like Sekiro and such. We've talked about how they make that very difficult to grind up all the skill points and stuff to get the plat or whatever. And some people consider that to be done. I think of done as credits. And the degree to which I am bored, like I will abandon a game, and then I don't think of it as finished though. No. If I do that, and I never feel like I only 100% things that I really love, and I finished it before then it's just gravy, bonus gravy. Free gravy.
Yeah, it's tough because there are any number of kinds of games. If it's narrative, obviously, if the story has a beginning, middle, and end, when the story ends, the thing is over. And the variable there is, if there's branches, do I feel like going back and seeing the other stuff, right? Like, and that is contingent on, am I still having fun with the game? When I finished the RE2 remake, just to, because that's fresh in the discussion here, it was kind of like, all right, well, shit, I'm going to fire up and play Claire's scenario, or I'm going to see if Claire A is any different. I just kind of continued wanting to play more. Otherwise, it's entirely, am I still engaged by this? But yeah, I don't chase achievements or anything. Like
there's some people, it's just they really feel like they have to 100% a thing to be done with it to put it aside. And we talked about this before, but for me, the fact that most of the play I do is for the show, recording an episode about it also gives a real strong sense of finality. Like, oh, I've talked about this for 90 minutes. I know I've crystallized what I think about it. And now that's done.
Yeah. With some exceptions. I think that I did this morning 3 marathon rounds of Tetris DS. And then I basically played Frostpunk until the fever broke. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That kind of thing happens. And there's also like this weird. So I'm almost done with Divinity Original Sin 2, which is the best game that came out in 2017. Even though I hadn't played it then, like that game is fucking phenomenal. And we should do it at some point. Like obviously not this year, but like it is the best combat in an RPG that I have ever played. And I'm getting near the end of that, and that's something where it's like I'm looking forward to credits just so I can have that like kind of cathartic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But I have that feeling of throwing a pleasure grenade into the future because I know I will replay it.
Yes.
Like as a different way of like, I'm not quite done. I want to get done so I can take a break. But it's like, this is the kind of game that I'm going to end up playing multiple times, like before I die. And it's big and spicy. Like it's not easy to do that. It's not like, you know, I felt that way about RE2 as well. Mm-hmm. Right. And like immediately did the next campaign. This was something where it's like, I just need a long break, but there's like this tether to the future with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, this Indian food is very, very good, but I'm going to put it in the fridge for a couple of days.
Yeah.
You know, you're saving yourself some leftovers.
Yeah. Saving some leftovers. So I tend to think of done credits.
Yes.
And then, but there's also different flavors of done.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Another game question here. Greg writes in saying nostalgia is powerful. It's a powerful emotion. Sometimes it can be destructive as well. Here's a 2-part question. How can we best try to separate nostalgia when we go back to revisit something? And are you, as in all humans, just not inclined to like something, a game, etc., if it was made before you were born and therefore don't have a history with it? Yeah. So how do you separate, and is it possible to feel nostalgia for something that was made before you were born? At being unstuck in time, I can answer the second one categorically. It is possible because the release has nothing to do with when you are first with when you are first exposed to it.
I think that actually the question is more like, are you not inclined to like something because it was made, because you don't have history with it, not whether it's possible to have nostalgia for it.
Okay.
So like, do we tend not to like things that we don't have any kind of history or background with, like if we're coming in fresh? And I don't think we tend to. I think that can help.
Yeah.
You know, so things that are related to or based on the tropes of things that I already like, obviously have a bit of a leg up. But sometimes I will just do something for the first time and have it be, you know, amazing, like new, like not just least of all like new stuff, but also, you know, something that will be old. Like, I'm sure that like, you know, obviously or here's a non-problematic example, like Hitchcock.
Yeah.
I just kind of knew Hitchcock was supposed to be good. I didn't know very much about Hitchcock. I took a class and liked all those movies.
Yeah.
And they were all made way back in the day, and he's great. I don't like a lot of old movies. I love Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Yeah.
So definitely possible to like that stuff, even though it has no real basis in familiar forms. You know, and to your point, like you answered a question that was still worth answering. It just wasn't, I don't think it was what was asked, but like, it's possible to have nostalgia for super old things as well, even if they weren't part of your childhood necessarily.
Yeah.
And then like, how do you separate nostalgia? Like, I guess I think that's part of our jobs because we're media critics. I don't think that's everyone's job.
No.
You can just like it, and you don't have to separate it if you don't want to.
Yeah, and you also don't have to justify it. Like, it can just be like if somebody asks, "Why do you like this?" I don't know. It reminds me of like a better time when I didn't have a job and my parents were still together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like that's perfectly reasonable. Like it was
before the storm.
Yeah,
you know, it was before the storm.
It was before life attacked.
Yeah. You know how now, you know, I'm tired whenever I'm sitting or standing or laying down. Like it was before that.
Yeah.
So I like that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you separate nostalgia? I don't know. This is something that's been valuable is revisiting something and finding out that it's not actually that good.
Yeah. it just happens for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't, even something that I still think is good. Right. So like, when we did Final Fantasy IV for the show, which I still think is a good game. When I was growing up, it was one of my all-time favorites. I rented it over and over. Like I beat it 1 billion times. Yeah. Playing it as an adult, I was like, this is still good, but just revisiting it interferes with the memory part in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like I talked to Will a lot about like old JRPGs and stuff, and he, you know, and I'll be like, yeah, I played it, it doesn't hold up. And his point is always that it doesn't matter if it holds up because I'm never going to revisit it. I just have this affection for whatever, you know, Brainlord or whatever the thing is. And as long as I never touch it again, it's the good version that's in my head.
Right.
but for me, the important thing is there are separate axes.
Yes.
You know, like the enjoyment of something and the kind of quality or analysis of it are different. And not everyone is interested in like whether something is good, you know, but I am. Like, not just least of which because that's the job, but also because I'm always been interested in that, right? Like, I want to know if it's good. Like, what makes this good? What's cool about it?
Yeah.
I've always been interested in that. So for these things that are very nostalgic to me, I want to revisit them because sometimes you get that feeling of just like, oh, you know, this is not as amazing as I thought it was. And sometimes you're like, this is more amazing than I thought it was.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
like playing
wow.
Mega Man X or playing Resident Evil 4 or something and being like, oh shit. Like now that I am smarter and a different person, this isn't just nostalgia. It's something more powerful and real than nostalgia.
This is special in ways that I just didn't have the eyes to see before.
Or couldn't articulate.
Right.
You know, and that's a great feeling. So that's worth a lot, I think. And it's worth losing a little bit of nostalgia. Like, it doesn't hurt me that much to be like, yeah, Final Fantasy IV is good. It's not the best game in the world, but it's still real good. That doesn't hurt me. You know, it's worth the good feels of being like, holy shit, you know, Resident Evil 2, you know, the remake. Oh my God, that's so fucking good. You know, that feeling is worth it.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know, going and playing something that you used to love and finding out that it's not that good, that doesn't get rid of the good feelings you had when you played it when you were little, you know?
Yeah.
Or when you saw that movie for the first time with somebody else. Just you know, when you're remembering something, you're not actually remembering the thing. You're remembering the last time you remembered the thing, you know? Yeah. Like, just the way your brain works is super weird. And sometimes that water is refreshed and it changes the basis. And sometimes you just go back to that well over and over again and it's fine.
And that's why you end up with really great pieces of art that fuck around with that. So you end up with stuff like Shovel Knight, which like feels like how you remember NES games. It plays better than any game on NES though. Yeah. You know, it just feels like what you thought those games were like. And that's a really cool trick. Yeah. Yeah. I've got one here that has a couple questions, but it has a end question that I think we can knock out really quick, just because it's in my mind. So Limerek says, random question, have you ever tried changing the gore and blood settings on Sekiro? It makes the blood black, which makes the game otherworldly. I've never done that. That's interesting. Did you listen to Austin, speaking of Austin Walker, talking about Jedi Fallen Order? Being how kind of a Souls, Sekiro, Star Wars blend. I did not know about that.
Yes.
Do you think it'll end up on Bonfireside Chat? Probably not, but not because of any mean Star Wars reasons, just because we have 1,000 things on the backlog. And Elden Ring is coming, which will be another long season. Yeah. But the question I wanted to spend more time on is, what are the exciting things from E3? I'm sure you guys talked about this on the level, but I'm not on the level. Cole, what looked good to you from E3? What you are looking forward to?
The new game by the Her Story guy, which looks like Her Story but more. I need to
hey, what about His Story?
You know, nobody talks about his story. In fact, we can try to call it history.
Everyone talks about mansplaining, but no one talks about man's pain.
Is that a drill tweet?
Yeah,
what's that? Drill. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love it so much. Man's pain. In quotes.
But yeah, Telling Lies, I liked Her Story quite a bit. And the quality of life features that they added, you know, that are apparent in the trailer, appear to be very good. And it has been long enough that I am super ready to go back into that kind of search engine based kind of game.
It's very interesting that they're doing a sequel with that, like, are doing like another thing in that kind of engine, because like Her Story is something that I admire more than I like, right? But the admiration, a lot of it comes from that kind of new way of playing. And I wonder if it's like, if there is a trick to it, you know, or if it's hiding it, or if it will just be an iteration, because it's not, I can't imagine like a whole world of Her Story likes as a thing. Like it's like, the word that keeps wanting to come to mind is gimmick, but that's too dismissive because it's cooler than a gimmick. Yeah. You know, I'm just kind of curious that you went back to that well. Like, I find that a little bit surprising.
Yeah. Oh. The other thing that I am really curious about is Carrion.
Oh, Carrion looks awesome.
Yeah, Carrion looks really, really good.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yep. And then the other big stuff, you know, take or leave. You know, it'll cross my threshold, you know, when it releases. But like, those two things are the only two things where I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to watch that and put it on a calendar and wait for it.
Yeah. Carrion looks super cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely down for Carrion.
Yeah. How about you?
Deathloop.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm glad Arcane's doing another like single player, lots of different ways of doing a situation. Those are always my favorite games. So like, and I was very worried because Dishonored 2 did poorly and Prey did poorly, in sales. So I was worried about it, but it looks great.
Yeah.
And they will do good stuff with it. And then as far as like just new announcement stuff, like not a whole, like we did a whole episode of Bonfireside Chat about Elden Ring that will come out, and you'll hear about that because I think that looks good. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that I'm excited about, I already knew about.
Yeah.
Like the Outer
Doom
Worlds.
Eternal, like we knew that
Doom
was
Eternal,
a thing.
totally. Yeah, and I'm very excited about that. Like I thought this was kind of limp from an announcement perspective. It felt like there wasn't a lot of stuff I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like this is cool and new. Yeah. Gotta get one of my local arcades to get that Gungeon arcade cabinet.
I'm positive it will, given the scene you have up there. Yeah.
Yep. If there's 5 cities in America that get one, we'll probably get one.
Yeah.
So, I really want to play that.
Yeah, like the Devolver press conferences are fun, just the way they do them, but like consistently they end up being just having good stuff to get excited about too.
Yeah, Devolver's great.
Yeah,
what a great publisher.
Ah, man, they had that Devolver sale on Switch, and it was just like yoink, yoink, yoink.
Yeah,
yoink.
Here's all the best games for Switch.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
Do we want to move off of game questions?
We probably should.
Yeah.
I think we tend to give the later things kind of short shrift.
Yes.
Even though we have the most game questions. Maybe do one more.
Maybe do one more. Yeah. We can do a short one here related to that. Here's the best stuff on Switch. Stuart McGowan writes, top Switch games?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you looking on your Switch recently?
I Switch for me has been historically like an indie machine.
No.
For it. So like I finally feel like I'm ready to move on from Gungeon. I've killed all the pasts.
Yeah.
In it, I still cannot beat the rat fight. It is too hard to get to.
Is that is that like the ultimate kind of big bad guy kind of thing? Or
it's not, but it's a side goal that was added most recently, so it's kind of the hardest. Like they have that kind of escalation. And it's not harder than the end boss, but you face it earlier, so you're weaker. So it ends up feeling harder than the end boss.
Gotcha.
So it's fun, it's gimmicky and cute, but so I think I'm ready to move on for that. That was mostly what I was doing. I started playing Cadence of Hyrule, which is good. Like I was kind of, I think I gotten hyped a lot because everyone loves in the Slack. I think it's good. Yeah. I haven't been like, oh shit. Like it definitely doesn't feel like oh shit to me.
Yeah.
And I just picked up on one of those sales. I picked up Hollow Knight so I can play the expansion.
Yep.
But like Isaac and Gungeon are the two things I've spent the most time on.
Yeah.
Which are PC games, but I like playing them in bed. So those are my faves. I don't know that they're necessarily better than like Hollow Knight, but it's hard to, I don't know what like a Switch exclusive would be that's like the best. Right. It's all stuff that I can play on my computer. It's just better to play on Switch.
Yeah. Pretty much the same answer. I've been enjoying Cadence of Hyrule quite a bit. I picked that up here. And I don't know, Luminous Remastered is actually really good on that too.
Oh yeah. I need to pick that up. I forgot about that. I fucking love Luminous.
And I'm also digging, I picked up Final Fantasy 12 because that game makes tons of sense for portable. Yeah. So that's that's recent stuff.
It's so notable that like, the put it on Switch is such a meme thing, but like it is becoming a weird system with very little identity to it. Like, isn't that like interesting? Like, it's just like all this stuff is stuff you can play elsewhere. Yeah. And that's kind of just games in general. But like for a game that has that memey kind of, I just want this on my Switch appeal. Yeah. It has almost nothing to do with the software identity of the system. It has everything to do with just the fact that it's portable. And some people are like that and they don't even play it portably.
I know, right?
Like, I want this to be on Switch. And it's like, man, why? Like, you just put it on the other thing you have that just plugs into a TV that has a controller.
Yeah.
I know it's a good controller, but is that much better?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird to me. Yeah. Like, I'm glad every indie device is coming on that thing, but it may as well be like an N gauge. Yeah. But with like a bigger library.
And that's fine. I'm fine with that. Mario Maker 2 is going to switch that stuff up. I am so jazzed for that next week.
Yeah. That actually is extremely cool. Yeah. And then Ultimate Alliance 3 is coming out, which I'm going to play with some problematic bachelors on the network. And so that's actually going to be a little bit more of kind of exclusive-y content. When I think about like Switch exclusives I've played, it's
Smash
the big
Brothers.
Nintendo. It's like Smash Brothers, which I didn't hook me. Breath of the Wild and Mario, which were both good.
Yeah,
It might be it. That's how I played Dark Souls Remastered, but like it's a weird fucking system.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird software for being as popular and as big a hit as it is. It's like just because of indies.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
like
the good yeah.
It's the good yeah. Like for fuck's sake, how did Nintendo release a system where the best thing about it is stuff published by third parties?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's so ahistoric.
It's very ahistoric.
Yeah.
And also, and this is like, I'm not saying this to be a contrarian, but like the first party Nintendo stuff that's been on there has not been the most mind blowing stuff in the world for me.
Yeah.
Like I liked Breath of the Wild a lot. I liked Odyssey a lot, but they were not like, it didn't feel like Super Nintendo Sea Change style games. Like, oh shit, like this is the newness. Like it didn't feel like that to me. It just kind of felt like, oh, this is good. Like Nintendo can be relied upon to do a B plus game.
Yeah. I think that for both of us, if we came to it without having also played and enjoyed a lot of first party stuff on the Wii U, it would have been like if it was a step from the Wii to the Switch, like the majority of people experienced, then I can imagine being further sold on it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I can see that. And they're all good. Like, it's not that they're bad games. They're like super good games. It's just they're not, mind-blowing in the way that maybe they once would have been.
Yeah.
Moving on to life questions. Corbin says, what's something that you never thought you'd be into when you were younger, maybe college age-ish, that you're into now? For me, I never thought that I would love fancy cocktails and fashion when I was younger, but now it's a huge thing for me. Also, what cocktail is your favorite? What have you gotten into, Cole?
I mean, so this is just
it's talking to you like you're a dog. What have you got into, Cole?
What's in your mouth?
What's in your mouth? Drop it. Drop it. Whenever anyone tells a dog to drop it, they turn to max headroom. Drop it. Continue to restart.
So for me, this is just a natural like outshoot of owning a home, which I never really expected to happen, but here we are. Yard work and gardening and things of that. Taking care of land is actually really satisfying.
Yeah, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And favorite cocktail, nothing fancy. I mean, is it even a cocktail if it's just mixing one thing with another? Bourbon and ginger ale.
Sure, that's a cocktail. Yeah, that's probably got a name.
Yeah, I don't know. I always call it a Shirley Temple of Doom if it has lots of cherries in it. Yeah. But yeah, that's the one. How about you?
Most of I've actually been pretty consistent. Like a lot of the stuff that I'm into still makes sense for me. So like, I still like role-playing games, video games, and books, about similar subjects, and music. Like I was into all those things when I was younger and everything. I think that maybe the closest thing to this might be cooking because I never had any interest when I was younger. And now it is a once in a blue moon thing for me, but I really do kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I'm lazy. I don't like cleaning. I never have. So I don't like cooking that much because it dirties a bunch of dishes, which I didn't have to do. But every once in a while I can make something like really, really good and be like, oh yeah, it's actually fucking tasty. Made my first gravy the other day, which I know isn't fancy, but I just never done it before. I think this is good as hell. Make myself gravy.
It's not something that just comes out of a faucet in the back of a Bob Evans. Yeah, like that you have to have a license to get. Yeah. I
was very surprised by that.
Yeah.
And then my favorite cocktail is an old fashioned.
Yeah.
So even though I've been drinking, I'm off beer. I stopped drinking beer, but I've been drinking old fashions. But if I want something not that sweet, or if I don't want something fancy, I've just been doing whiskey sodas.
Yeah.
Whiskey sodas at home.
Whiskey soda is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But can't.
Yeah. Well, what's the next question, Gary?
I think that was mine. I think I asked that.
Cool. Well, I will follow up here since you mentioned cooking. Shane writes, talk about cooking. What do you think of your cooking skills? What are your favorite things to make? What's your process of thinking of meals, buying ingredients, and putting it all together?
The answer to all of them are gravy.
Yep. I have graduated to an all sauce lifestyle.
Yeah. One of those things whenever you're like kind of a fat guy and you talk about liking a delicious food.
Yeah.
I know even with our good audience, someone out there is like, man, like I am like I'm like two more mentions of the word gravy away from somebody sending me a concern trolling like,
oh yeah,
I'm just worried about you. And it's like, listen,
fuck, millions of people eat gravy every day.
Yeah, and I don't eat gravy every day. Right. I just said I just learned how to make it. Chill out. Yeah. It's a joke. Concern trolls.
Yeah.
There's like a really insidious thing, like that whole like, listen, I'm just worried about you.
Yeah, no, you're not. No. You just want me to feel bad about myself. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is literally just.
Yeah.
But yeah, cooking. I am. I would still be an Epicurious, a level 1 chef. I'm not good at it. I like making I like making breakfast. I do a lot of breakfast. I'll make like, just regular like eggs and bacon, but then I'll make like polenta cakes or something with it. Something like that on the side. And then I also like making generally one pot or one pan style thing. So I'll eat a lot of like, what if some vegetables and some meat were sauteed and then served over greens?
Yes.
Like that kind of thing quite frequently.
That's very similar to what I do. So I oftentimes cook in sprints, basically. So I will grill a bunch of meat, or I will basically it's always the protein that I cook a lot in advance, so I can kind of whip it out and mix it in with something. So I really enjoy doing like a bowl where it's just, some kind of grain, meat, and then greens, and then vegetables that is put in with some new kind of sauce or seasoning or what have you. That generally there's that. Also, I do that with breakfast quite a bit as well. Just basically making scrambles of, stuff that I have on hand. Back in our college house, we called it making WTF.
Okay.
Yeah. Just just chopped up tortillas and peppers and eggs and shit and mixed it in with like a little bit of diced up bacon, stuff like that. So it's definitely messy, but really it's about can I make something that tastes good with minimal mess, and can I prepare some of this to eat later? Like that is the philosophy behind Chili Day. I
do a lot of leftover meal stuff too, because again, as mentioned, I'm lazy. I'm worried about you, Gary. You need to, but like, no, I'm just kidding. But like, I'm lazy, so I like having, a couple, because like cooking for one, that's the prospect, right?
Yes.
Like you make food to have it in the future, so you don't have to do it that often because you're, and
as long as you're like labeling stuff and checking it, it's fine. Yeah, no. Yeah. Anybody who like looks sideways at somebody who eats leftovers, I don't know what their life is weird.
Like. We've created a really terrible straw man. I've created like a really on the course of this episode, and I apologize for creating this terrible homunculus. Actually, Dr. Gary Stein was the name of the monster. Yeah. Who made Gary Stein?
Yeah.
Thank you, Shane. Craig asks, I'd like to hear about your political thoughts. Why do you think that right-wing politics are having a resurgence, and your thoughts on political correctness? I'd like to hear a bit more controversy, perhaps a bit more evil. It is okay to be angry sometimes and express it. It isn't healthy to stifle yourself fully in a left-wing perspective. I'd also like to hear you talk about Jordan Peterson. I've only heard his podcast in the past month. They've been helping me with some mental anxiety and depression I suffer from. Heard the name brought up on your podcast a handful of times, and I wonder why you have a grudge against the guy who is genuinely helping people with mental issues. So a bunch of questions like kind of packed in there. Easy one first, the last one, is that the thing that I feel like is insidious about somebody like Jordan Peterson is that it's not all bad advice. Like things like, hey, you should clean up your room isn't terrible, but gender essentialism is harmful and unacceptable. And you can get the good part of that without getting the bad pretty easily.
Yeah. His entire deal since he rose to prominence, specifically in intellectual dark web kind of circles, by refusing to address students by their pronouns, preferred pronouns, etc. It seems to be entirely aiming at disaffected young men. And anybody who is looking at that, just anxiety and depression, I have infinite sympathy, because I suffer from those things as well. I would say make sure that you are not being targeted by somebody who is giving you the good and then also kind of holding your hand and, you know, trying to sell you on these very old ideas about gender essentialism, about, you know, the war on masculinity, etc. These old ideas in kind of a new, more transgressive package, right?
Yeah.
There are any number of perfectly valid self-help resources that you can find that don't come with that particularly kind of nasty,
like putting
side
anyone
effect.
else down
with
it, you know, like the idea that like if you feel bad, it doesn't have to be because X, Y, and Z people feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's as old as the hills, right? Like that is a tactic for manipulating somebody is ancient.
Yes.
You know, there's just the idea like, hey, you feel bad, here's some actual good advice, but hey, maybe the way you feel bad is because of safe spaces in colleges. Like maybe that's pernicious, you know, maybe that's like extremely dangerous. And if you like look at it, like I spent some time looking at his big claim to fame when he broke bad and decided that you know, oh, I'm going to oppose this pronoun thing, which like science backs up, you know, trans identity, right? Like if you read, go to JSTOR, you know, like if you're not on YouTube, if you go to academia, like if you go to journals, it backs it up as a thing. Like it is a developing science. It's something that for one reason or another has not been studied as much as maybe it should be, but is being studied now. And there is new and good data that back up this kind of thing. Even if it wasn't, you can't say, take somebody and be like, this person is who believes this thing that isn't hurting anybody, who is persecuted, who is wronged like nonstop. You can't be like, this person's just mentally ill and we shouldn't have to, you know, toe the line with them.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a dick move, you know, meet a trans person. I don't know. Like, it's like literally the easiest way out of any of this stuff.
Is
meet somebody and it'll go away.
Yeah.
You know?
And that isn't an accusation saying, oh,
anybody.
Anybody. Yeah. Like when you say like, oh, you just need a wider experience. It's a little bit like saying it will sound like saying, oh, this is a problem of education, or you're voting against your economic interest, which you may be factually true, but is super condescending. Just a lot of people's lives, they live them in such a way that it doesn't, that they have not interacted with, you know, somebody who is trans or somebody of a different race or different culture, especially, you know, they haven't interacted with them as they know, right? Like they haven't known they've crossed paths with them. You know, it is when we say meet somebody like that, it is with all of the best kind of intention in our heart.
Yeah. Like, and again, not specifically to the asker, but to anybody, like just, there's that, like, you know, solid gold, old onion headline that's like, homophobia doesn't survive meeting, you know, Chuck and Bob, you know, and it was just like this, like, oh, they were like lovely. They brought us over to their house. They were just like very sweet. I loved seeing them together and stuff. And it's like, you know, I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody, you know, I don't think either of us would claim that like we were born woke. I think that when I was younger, like it was, you know, I was put off by some of this stuff. And then it's just like, you meet people and you're like, oh, you know what? And it's even before you read about it. It's just when you just kind of, it's just like, oh, they're just like people. Like, it probably is a wrong thing to be like, these people shouldn't have rights. And this thing that is such a minor ask, you know, like, you know, even that's even before you get to the science or anything. Like, it's such a minor thing. Yeah. You know, and with somebody like Peterson, like, it invalidates the good stuff for me. Yeah. Because as we mentioned, the good stuff's not unique from him. Like, clean your room is not unique. Like, that's something you can get anywhere. Yeah. Without the caveat.
It is. And it makes you want to go back and look at and re-examine all of that seemingly good advice, because how much of that has unspoken stuff attached to it, like clean your room because otherwise you won't get the sex that you're owed.
Sure.
Like that,
yeah. There can be even if there's not, but like there could be like a, you know, a kind of like a Trojan horse. Yeah. Or not Trojan horse, but like a, you know, a hidden part of that. Even if there's not, even if it is just like good advice, but here's also some hate.
Yeah. It is. You know? It is very difficult to unmarry those. Additionally to this, you know, it is worth being super skeptical of Jordan Peterson and anybody else who identifies an audience of particularly disaffected young men and says, the reason that you are lonely or unhappy or you have these problems is in some part due to somebody else.
Yes.
Specifically, it is due to this other disempowered group. It is their fault, when in reality, the way to look at that is, is my productive energy and attention and anger being driven toward an undeserving target, when in reality, what is resulting in me being completely isolated or mostly isolated, any of these things, is that the result of a greater structure that I am that I am in, right? Or a greater system that I am being victimized by. Like, just,
right.
are you being misdirected?
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of the first part of this, like, there's sometimes when we get questions like this, there's an implication. They usually don't come, from patrons. Like, this is like a thing that'll like pop up in an email or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's an implication that we are, this, like, it isn't healthy to stifle yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm not stifled. Like, when people talk about, like, or it's like, what do you feel about political correctness? Sometimes as a thought experiment, I think, like, I try to be conscious of stuff like that. I do my best. Mm-hmm. By doing that, what am I giving up? And I've never come up with an answer for that. Mm-hmm. Like, from the outside may look like I am towing a line on political correctness by not using slurs or whatever. Mm-hmm. I assure you,
yeah,
I'm okay not using slurs.
Yeah,
like,
it's not,
it has not negatively
instinct.
Impacted my life.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, and I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm just super fine, and doing my best to, like, respect and treat people from disaffected populations as people, and have sympathy for, like, what they're going through, and, like, read about it and stuff, and stop thinking about myself. Didn't hurt me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm fine. I'm not giving up anything. There's no, it's not a lot of work, right? Honestly, and like, we still, like, fuck up from time to time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because it's a process.
Because it's a process, and the cost for that, from the outside might look like something you don't want to pay, is literally nothing. It's like, oh, I listened, and I considered that I might be wrong about something, and then I moved on. Yeah. And then there's, like, and if there are parties who are wronged, like, you apologize, and that's all you can do. And it's, the idea that there's, like, a boogeyman out there that's like, you're going to go, like, Peterson's big thing when he broke bad was about a law that was being passed in Canada. Yeah. And there was, like, this alarmist kind of attitude that if this passes and if we start referring to people by their preferred pronoun, anything offensive is going to be actionable legally. Right. Like, whether it's intended or not, that was his thing. And
when in reality, that particular law, he misread it greatly. Yes. They misread. There was no new enforcement. There was basically no new language attached to this. Yeah.
All of his colleagues came out and said this, and was like, you're misinterpreting this. And a lot of times that's what's happening, is just, like, this idea that the consequences, so not only does it cost me nothing to try to be conscientious, if I'm not conscientious, if I fuck up, the consequences are just, I listen, and I apologize, and I move on. I'm not in jail. Right. And if somebody out there, like, you should bring yourself to be conscientious and considerate to other people and consider other people's experiences. Yeah. If you don't, nothing's going to happen to you. Right. Like, the idea that people are coming to, like, round you up for that is not true. Like, you might get dunked on Twitter for being a dick. Yeah. You will survive. I promise. Yeah. And if YouTube, like, if you go on YouTube and you talk about the great white replacement and how Muslims are coming to take us all over, and YouTube takes your channel away, you're still okay. Like, you can still put out those videos. It's like, you're going to survive. No one's going to jail. Nothing bad is, like, really happening here. It's just, maybe society's saying you're wrong. Yeah. About that, and that's the way that it's articulating.
Examining what might be at the core of that anxiety, just the general summation of, oh, everybody's offended by everything these days. I've got to walk on eggshells, etc. I have no idea if a thing I'm going to say is gonna set somebody off. Like, yeah. But here's the thing. That is definitionally how ignorance works. That is definitionally how privilege works, and I'm using both of those words stripped of any of their valuation, right? I'm not saying ignorant with any kind of,
meaning
like,
bad.
right.
And privilege already doesn't mean bad, even though people always feel like, it's an attack. But
like, just, if you do not know that thing is wrong, then guess what? You said it and you didn't know. The onus is to not do it again once somebody draws your attention to it. Will they be mean about it? Yeah, they might have a reason to, because somebody said that exact same word to them in the process of directly trying to hurt them. It is up to you to listen for the signal. Same thing with privilege. A thing about being a white dude is that you got a lot of stuff really good without knowing about it.
Yeah.
And, it just that's the way it works.
It's such a difficult concept to explain too, because like your life might be shit.
Yeah. Nobody thinks their life is easy. I don't have
anything. Yeah. And the trick to that is always just like, your life is shit, but it's not shit because of your race. Like, yes, sometimes people are not individually, subject to a lot of fortune, but it's not due to their gender identity or what have you.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of a tough concept to get. And it's a tough concept to hear when you feel like your house is on fire, right?
Yeah.
But what's happening is I feel like people like Peterson, and not exclusively Peterson, but like people like that are taking that feeling that people have and being like, guess what? Your house is on fire. Like, people are attacking you. Like, you are being, and things like, a college having like, hey, we're going to have trigger warnings when we deal with this material is not an attack on you. Like, nothing got taken away from you. Like, it's very hard for me to think of any of these, two gay people getting married doesn't take anything from you.
Yeah.
Like, none of this stuff removes anything. Like, it was like when I was talking about like what I'm losing, like, you're not losing anything from this. Nobody's losing anything. It's not on the table. It's just kind of a weird fear and not a rational one. That's coming through. Like, I always like one of the things I've always tried to figure out, like when I started, becoming more passionate about like my political beliefs, was like, okay, what is the right scared of? Because there's some kind of fear here. I know what I'm scared of.
Yeah.
The left is scared of stuff too. Like, I'm scared of like stuff that's happening right now. Right. Like, I don't like that. I feel very, one of the things people are like, I would like to hear your political thoughts, and people say we're very political on shows. You'll notice like we're never like talking about trade agreements and shit.
No.
We're talking about how like, it's just kind of fundamentally wrong to keep people in a cage.
Yeah.
People shouldn't die in custody from ICE. Like, that's like, I am political, but it's so weird that these things that I think are strict kind of moral things end up becoming political.
Yeah, it literally does not have to do with like the will of the people and the system by which representation is achieved. It is strictly a moral question, a values question.
It's very values. Like people are like, oh, you're very political, and it's like, I'm not. I don't know that we are. I think that we are strict, like moralists.
Yeah.
Like, in a lot of ways. Like, I think that you and I both have very strong ideas about what's right and wrong. And I think that somebody dying in a jail cell for crossing a border is super wrong.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I got onto that, because I got mad because I was thinking about the prison. You
were talking about
idea.
You were talking about wondering what the right is afraid of.
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly. So like, that's what I'm afraid of. But I've always been like, what is the right afraid of? And all of the things that I've seen, like when I've tried to like approach this in good faith, feels so outlandish.
Yeah.
So like, if what I'm scared of is human rights being violated, and that happens all the time because I care about that. The idea that like white people are going to be replaced is just kind of like sci-fi feeling.
Yeah.
To me, like, yes, like people like there will be more diversity in this country. Even if that happens where like white people are a minority race in this country, so what?
Yeah.
Like, what happens then? What's next?
I mean,
like,
so
what? No, what's scary? I mean,
so like, again, armchair psychologist. I think that for a lot of folks, they see the way that minorities are treated, and they understand that, oh, if I'm in the minority, then that is going to immediately be turned around on me. Daisy Fitzroy is going to get hers, and I'm going to be the victim. When in reality, the problem is like, if you took away the idea that that minorities of any kind should be the victim of the brunt of any kind of power, from the people who are in the majority, then guess what? It doesn't matter if you're in the minority, and you would have nothing to fear. So both of us want the same thing, which is for the person in the minority, whether it is you in the future or, black and brown people or LGBTQ plus people now, is for them not to feel in danger for their lives every single day, or to, suffer for a lack of opportunity, whether conscious or unconscious. Right.
Yeah. I just want people, regardless,
yeah,
of who they are, to have, dignity and rights and be able to be. And I don't think there should be draconian punishments for violating, such laws, right? Like, there's a reason why on the shows we talk about how it's just kind of wrong for people to die in custody for crossing the borders, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about the concept of open borders. Like, I don't want to speak for you, Cole. I don't know enough about that. Like, I am too ignorant to have a strong opinion about that, but I'm not too ignorant to know that, people shouldn't die in weird cage camps. And we don't applaud ICE for having a transgender woman camp that they're opening up exclusively. No,
nope.
That's not right. That's not probably not good enough. So, it's just, I don't know. It feels evident to me. And, so that, I guess that's the answer to the question is, it's like, nothing is being stifled.
Right.
I'm not stifled. And I'm also not, in a bubble such that I don't understand right-wing perspectives. I spend a lot of time actually trying to find the good faith argument for this stuff, because I want to know what it is, because it seems so evident to me.
Yeah. And it's driving an awful lot of stuff that's happening, maybe not in our day-to-day lives directly around us, but it's part of the American story right now. And worrisomely, it's part of the global story. Is this kind of resurgence, this revanchism, right? And there's a line in here, I'd like to hear some more controversy, perhaps a bit more evil. It's okay to be angry sometimes, express it. The idea that
do you think that I'm not angry?
The idea that being that being left wing and being angry are mutually exclusive. That is not true in my experience. I am angry quite a bit, and that leads into kind of this next question that I feel kind of lines up. Matt Bixler says, what's the most deeply held belief or opinion you've ever had completely change over the course of your life? I am generally, in my temperament and disposition, a very moderate kind of person. Separating the idea that I, as a moderate and mild, smiling, polite person, need to accept that righteous anger and justified radicalism is more useful than that kind of moderation. That is something that, over the course of the past decade, I have done, a real about face on, right? And I have stopped looking for this personal thing that I value in people around me in leaders. I want to look at, in the political sphere, people who are willing to decide what is right and then fight for it without pre-compromise.
Yeah. Without the idea that it just, because I want this thing too much.
Yeah.
So it has to be tempered.
Yeah.
It can't be correct because it's different than what it used to be, or because it is there again, being guy who repeats tweets, that guy, there's that all-time Hall of Fame thing where it's I just got back from the centrist rally, really amazing, thousands of people just chanting that we can't have better things, right. and that's definitely the case. I think about, and that's common as hell. Tons of people are just it's why Joe Biden polls so well, right? It's just he's just not scary. He doesn't want to do anything. It's kind of great.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to normal.
Ideas, it's cool.
No, and it's
just have Obama again.
If you're not if you're not fighting for what you think is right, there are a lot of people who are suffering under what is wrong, whose needs you are not addressing.
Yeah,
Yep.
And what else do we have leadership for other than to fight for what is right and try to change the world in a better way?
Yeah,
the mere fact that that's a radical idea to us is so depressing and angry making.
Yeah.
Speaking of anger, just the fact that that's something that everyone I know doesn't agree with.
Right.
All the, my old coworkers and family members and Facebook friends generally, the uncle sphere.
Yeah.
Generally just kind of I don't know, it just seems kind of scary and weird. And it's but maybe we'll take care of people though in that case. Like, what about real lives that get like God, fucking think about somebody other than yourself for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, is just I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably the biggest, just transitioning us off of this into another non-controversial subject. The biggest change I've probably had is being more accepting of other people's religious beliefs. Because I have not believed in God for a very long time. It's not something that ever really worked for me. But at some point I threw, my Dawkins in the trash and realized, like, actually, you know what, like, this is good insofar as it does good. And I know enough people for whom it does good and they do no evil with it. So great.
Yep.
And I just don't, I no longer want to get into that debate with anybody. I no longer want to try to prove anything about anyone. Like, I no longer am concerned about being right about that.
No.
It is just something that I used to be. So like my mid 20s and early 20s, I was a dickhead about that, and I have gotten better.
Yep.
So that was a personal belief that changed. For sure. We have a media question here.
Yes.
A nice glossy JPEG of Columbo, which is one of my favorite handles, says, I played Hypnospace Outlaw recently and it got me thinking, what are your favorite old internet memories? AIM.
Oh God, those sounds. I sometimes just go to YouTube and listen to those sounds. When there was somebody who I really wanted to talk to, oh, this is my best friend, going in and changing their login sound so I knew when to run across the house to like go and talk to them. So it wasn't just the of the door opening, but it was the cha-ching of the cash register. Yeah, I still get a Pavlovian reaction to that specific, like a really grainy dot wave.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful sound, and just like the idea of putting up away messages, having this kind of like cute little answering machine thing, and it would just be some lyric.
Yep. Oh, always
like the
lyrics.
Deepest thing in the world, Just like everyone has shake it like a Polaroid picture on their AOL Instant Messenger away thing, like an entire generation. And then so
links to that day's Penny Arcade.
Shit like that. Just a quick way to find it. So like AIM is my big one, and then Home of the Underdogs, like loading up floppy disk for my laptop that I brought into work of old PC games to try out when I worked overnight as a dispatcher. Yeah. Like old Home of the Underdogs was fucking a revelation. Yeah. So
AOL keywords, just as a concept, I find that incredibly charming as an idea. Yeah. I had AOL internet because I had those discs, but I never fucked around with AOL as a portal or what have going into the kids only area and playing like pre-Flash games about Cat Dog in the Nickelodeon zone, and then going on to the X-Men kind of chat room area and having my mom yell at me because I shouldn't be in chat rooms because I'm 8. Yeah. I need to play Hypnospace Outlaw.
I would like to play that too. There's, the podcaster's lament of there being too many games. Like, I just don't know when I'll get to that.
Yes.
It's a good thing for like Comrade, because it would get me to like, play a game a week, like an indie game a week, which was pretty great, but it's just like was not sustainable because they were long. Yeah. So.
Yeah. We've been going for a while, Gary. Do we want to get into the topic and then do lightning rounds?
Let's do one more media just for parody.
Yes.
And then do topic lightning round.
Yeah.
Typically these tend to be about 2 hours, and the topic will be like 25 minutes or so, and the responses will go quick. And I think that'll probably time out about right.
Yeah. So Michelle writes, are there any artists whose work you like despite having questionable politics? I found out a few years back that Mike Nelson from Mystery Science Theater 3000 identifies as a fairly religious conservative guy, and it bummed me out. They go on to say that this is leavened by the actor who plays Crow being a world-class leftist agitator. And also Michelle talks about this being related to Everything to Guppy and Edmund Macmillan's let's say peccadillos.
That's actually not where, I don't know where that actually comes from. At some point, we realized that we're going to, because Everything to Guppy aims to educate as well as entertain. And we are going to teach people a lot of these kind of age-old problems that are like really, really difficult things. We're going to solve them. So stay tuned to that show. In general. But certainly for that. I have a good answer for this.
Okay.
Which is Norm Macdonald.
Ooh, that's an incredibly good. Yeah.
And a comedy genius and an absolute dumb shit about everything else. Just like the world's dumbest dude about anything that matters, but somehow is actually able to be very funny. I went and saw him live, which I always wanted to do, and he totally broke my heart by just not only not being like very funny, but also just being, gross offensive, and not just like, oh, I can't believe he said the joke. Like you can be kind of offensive and funny. Like I'm not a level, a 10th level leftist enough to say that like, oh, like this can't be funny, right? Like
right.
You can use there can be a joke that has, language in it that's problematic that I still think is very funny.
Yeah.
It happens all the time on Mr. Show, and it's like the best sketch comedy show of all time. Yeah. But it was just like not very funny. Like he was kind of he had this whole like extended bit about like lady comics not being funny. Ugh. And I was like, what century is this from? Because like you realize that has never been that's never been true, but it has never been less true in the public consciousness.
Right.
Like, no.
Yeah.
That's
can't
not actually,
go on that ride with you, Norm.
Yeah, I can't go on that ride with you, Norm. And then like a couple other things that were like that where they were just like a little bit gross. And it's just, and it's frustrating because he'll just claim, like he'll say like he's an idiot. Like he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about this. I just know how to make jokes and stuff. Yeah. But I'm like, well then, you like make a joke about it.
Yeah.
Or stop saying something about it. You can't just kind of like lazily, he seemed like sick. He was like leaning on the wall. You can't just kind of lazily drawl out these like terrible ideas that don't have jokes, nor are they like, supportable ideas.
Yeah.
Like big thing about like having a beer with Donald Trump and being like, oh, like you don't want to talk to a guy who has a gold toilet. And I was like, well, no. In a vacuum, yes.
Okay.
Like if you just said like, if I know nothing else about the person, sure. I know it's like to shit on gold.
Right. I would like to know, is it cold? Is it like, do you have to attach a warmer to it?
Has it ever melted a little bit?
Yeah.
Like from the low melting point, and maybe, you just like, yes, I do want to talk about that process. However, like that dude is a lot more than that process. And a lot of things that just like drain the humor out of, because it's mean. It's cruel and stuff. I was like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it wasn't even a bit. He just kind of said it and expected it to be a joke, but it wasn't really,
Yeah.
So that guy, and
was the room feeling
so
it?
Funny. It's funny because it was half like Portland, with its weird white supremacy history, is like generally fairly liberal, and then there's like a pocket.
Right.
And there's like the Joe Rogan verse of Portland as well. And so there'd be people were pretty tepid about it, except every once in a while he'll say something that was very obviously like baiting. And there was like one woo dude. It was like he'd just be like, the nice thing about Donald Trump is no loot boxes. And someone was like, yeah, no loot boxes.
Yeah.
That dumb joke, that callback woke up pocket, so it was not worth it on either end of the mic. He would be like, he'd say something, and I can't remember this, legitimately can't remember specifics, and somebody would woo it, but it wasn't a joke. They were just wooing it because he was, being transgressive without being funny.
Yeah.
Be fucking funny, comedians. It's your job.
Good.
That's all.
Yeah. It's in the past I talked about my experience with the lead singer of Eagles of Death Metal, and hearing him off the cuff refer to President Barack Obama as a secret Kenyan socialist. That was a bummer. I haven't really listened to their music since then, so it doesn't necessarily hear. So something recent. So I've been kind of slowly making my way through a collection of Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. Yeah. And it is generally, just extremely positive and upbeat, but like, because it was written in the 70s and 80s, and even though Spider Robinson generally feels like just a kind hippie uncle, there's some stuff that sneaks through. Like at one point he says it should be legal to kill anarchists. It's like, I don't know. That's not exactly funny. And also like that seems really deeply, that seems like a really deeply held belief you got there.
Like, and nobody, like 90% of the people who say the word anarchist don't know what that means.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, just some stuff like that, and some weird, like, not necessarily like bad sexual stuff, but like just, outdated sexual stuff.
Yeah, you just notice it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always like cancel them. It's
no,
not like,
no,
this is bad.
I haven't stopped reading it. Yeah.
And in retrospect, it's not like the Norm Macdonald podcast is bad now in retrospect, or that book is bad because he's being kind of shitty.
No, it's just of a different time, So like, in no way am I trying to say Spider Robinson is worse than Orson Scott Card. Just because generally those books are still about just kind of an incredibly broad acceptance, which I find to be very wholesome. But with these unwholesome things just kind of peppered in that feel like blind spots,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So those are, Let us get to topic.
Okay. So our topic this time comes from Dean, who says, let's see here. So possible long form discussion, but maybe just a question I thought of could be about storytelling in games and, quote, cinematic experiences. Specifically, when you've spoken about games made by David Cage, Kojima, etc., you often discuss their use or attempts at filmmaking techniques to tell stories, but often fail at this. I find this interesting as I, A, have played games all my life and love story through play, and B, work in the TV and film industry, so know how to tell stories in that way. The short version of my question would be, what are the ways that games can tell stories in a way that other mediums can't? What innovations to storytelling have games brought/could they develop in the future? Why do so many game makers seem to be obsessed with cinema but don't understand it?
Yeah, this is something like, specifically one of the big realizations, and I remember saying this during Metal Gear Solid 2, but I'm sure I said during Inigo Prophecy as well, is like they're both games obsessed with being movie-like, but they would be terrible movies.
Yeah.
Like they would just be paced so garbagely.
Right.
Like imagining doing the Emma Emmerich side path as far as emotion going, in a movie where nukes are heading towards New York.
Right.
And any filmmaker making that mistake, it would never happen.
No.
Right. Not even close. So like kind of methods of storytelling, like cinematics. What do you think? You go first. I obviously, I feel like I'm on the record on this a lot. So
the last part of that really gets under my skin. Specifically, why do so many game makers seem to be obsessed with cinema but don't understand it? And I think that, to armchair psychoanalyze, it's a little bit of it's a flavor of every actor wants to direct and every director wants to act. It is an aspiration to do something that feels like it has more prestige, which is a pretty uncharitable way to phrase it, but that's kind of how it comes across. Additionally, it is a bit of an arrogance that an understanding of how to tell a story in one form is obviously going to transfer over into something else. There, just like there are, fantastic musicians who make terrible producers,
right,
et cetera, down the line. These are very specialized skills. And I think that video game directors and video games that are trying to be what they are not, that is a very toxic impulse that I think is actively destructive to kind of advancement and innovation, specifically because it does kind of corner the medium into really, really high budget, high time commitment things. These are the games that you hear about. These are the games that a lot of money gets spent on. And that is an area where I can see and, desperately feel the scarcity.
Yeah. Yeah. Like artistically, it ends up or financially, kind of practically, it ends up being a huge concern.
Yeah.
Right. Like even putting aside like the question I think needs to be interrogated of it being a worthwhile goal in the first place.
Yeah.
To ape this language, it is always expensive to ape that language. And I say always, like, yes, I know, like, Brendan Chung makes games. Like, there are thing, there's 30 Flights of Loving, which uses cinematic technique and stuff and was not expensive. I know there are exceptions that exist.
Yeah.
Usually cinematic goes hand in hand with photorealistic, which is a garbage pursuit for trash devs.
Yeah, it is like drinking salt water.
Yeah. Yeah, it is not a great idea. Like, you will think you're, quenching your thirst. You'll never get there. But yeah, I think that's true. I think that there's an element of borrowing the legitimacy from an older medium.
That's the thing. Yeah, that more succinctly states like why are you trying? Why are you trying to borrow? Like you can just be good on your own. You don't have to prove to anybody.
It's also harder. Like it's harder to, because there's less of a body of work. Like there is a body of work. There's there are game studies about this and stuff, but articulating how to do things through play or what have you. Is there's less literature, and not everyone has grown up. Even like I'm a relatively big gamer as far as gamers go, but I think that it would be I have not played more games than I've watched episodes of TV.
Yeah,
and I've not played more. I maybe have not played more games than movies I've seen in my life.
Yeah,
just by the nature of their length and such. So I've seen so many more examples of cinematic stuff. Like that language is much more naturalized.
Yeah.
To me. And I think the best developers that use some of it realize that it is a tool. It is one thing that you can use to add and kind of make like a complete product. Like my favorite games that don't go into the David Cage Kojima verse still have cinematic aspects to them, right? Like just because of Cyberpunk's been in the news, like thinking about Witcher 3, that is not a game that is overly cinematic. But there'll be a thing where like he'll arrive in an area and they'll do a pan that is very cinematic over it. Yeah. And then go back into the game. Using that kind of stuff sparingly. There was a while back, I can't remember the exact who was on the other side of it, but Austin Walker of Waypoint, formerly Waypoint, and another person in the Games Arati on Twitter were getting into it about this. And I didn't see the entire argument and couldn't figure out all of the discourse around it because that's Twitter. But it was basically the other guy was saying how, games using the cinematic language, doing that is shitty and bad and always to be avoided. And then there was a huge kind of pushback against that I think overcorrected a little bit. Yeah. Not to, for somebody who, we took a strong stance against moderation, but this is something where I do think moderation is kind of key, because games that if a game only has gameplay and has no cinematic, great. Tetris. You can make a perfect game that way. If a game just has cinematics and no gameplay, fuck it. I don't want to play it. No. I'm not interested in that. I don't think those are good. I think that is actually really bad.
Yeah, it might as well just be those Game Boy Advance carts that have an episode of SpongeBob on them.
Totally. What is the, I don't understand why, what the appeal of that is. And then in between those two things, there is this gulf. And to me, the sweet spot is slightly towards play, but still in the middle.
Yeah. And this is foundational. This discussion for us goes back, 9 years.
Yeah. This is basically, the basic part of the network. And the way that the magical things games can do is marry the two things. So a game can present you with an image of that evokes a mood, while you're also playing through it in a way that you feel the mood. And that is the unique thing games can do. Yeah. And that is why I get very frustrated with developers who either have no interest in that, which is like a David Cage, or like a Kojima, where they have an interest in that and actually are very good at it, but only do it 15% of the time. Yeah. Like Kojima will do something like having you tap on, resist the torture. Yeah. Right. And that's a cool gameplay narrative intersection. And then he'll just have people do talking heads for 45 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, well, you had it, dude. you had it. You had the scene where reality is breaking down and the colonel's talking to me while I'm fighting endless waves of dudes on a thing. You had it. Yeah. Why are you making me watch this machinima play?
Yeah. And it's like you have it. Please prove to me that you're not just doing that by accident.
Yeah, and he's had such a long career, and I've never felt like it's not an accident. Yeah, the good things are not it's so hard to give him credit for the good things, because there's so much of just Diarrhea Boys wedding bells. I know that's not anymore what actually happened. I know it's more complicated than that, but Diarrhea Boy gets a wedding. Yeah, and somehow that is good. So I don't know. As opposed to these cool intersections, and he's really good at that. Even down to I love and fucking, we're going to have to do Metal Gear Solid 5 at some point.
Absolutely. I've been
calling it the airdrop on Quiet. Yeah. And it that's an intersection of narrative and sim elements. And he's super good at that when he decides to do it.
Yeah,
as well.
like just like when he decides to just model situations and have these incredibly good kind of just interactions and collisions between different systems. You know, that is something that we infinitely praise when it pops up elsewhere. It just happens to be, you know, it just in the middle of this mostly miss, sometimes hit, you know, story approach.
Yeah, just a movie.
Yeah.
You know, a non-interactive, and that's not in 5, right? Like 5 is actually has the balance better than I feel like better than any of the games. Other than Revengeance, and Revengeance is actually like the entertaining story one because it's actually so out there to be fun. You know, but yeah, like you look at but without that, right? So like on that spectrum, like you get to a David Cage who doesn't do anything like that and has no interest in it and just doesn't want to marry those two forms at all.
Right.
That is the mistake. Like that's where it's really bad. And you can go the other way. It's you know, it's like squares and rectangles. Like you can make just Tetris. You can ditch narrative. You can ditch cinematic storytelling and be fine.
Yeah. You know, just like I wouldn't.
Like Papers, Please. Yeah. Like Papers, Please isn't cinematic at all, but it tells a story wonderfully. Yeah. Frostpunk isn't cinematic. It tells that story like really, really well.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you know, just imagine it. Imagine it flipped. You went in to sit down and watch a movie, and it's asking you to do the multiple choice thing, like that Futurama joke. I didn't realize till I did just some very basic kind of research on this, that there actually was, like in the 1960s, an experimental film that was shown at like the Quebec World's Fair. It was called Kinautomat. That was that was, you know, people had little dials that they could hit to make a left or right choice. So but you know, and it was the consensus of the audience that determined it. I don't know. That sounds really unsatisfying to me. Yeah. And if a curiosity at best. Yeah. Like I like choose your own adventure books because they're kind of fun to me. None of them are literature. They're just kind of fun goofs. Right. You know, it's an entertaining thing that kind of straddles that line a little bit more towards narrative than game. But like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Like it's interesting that you can go one way with it, you know, and it's just like when I think people fuck up is when they go too far the other way. Right. And just really kind of biff it. Yeah. And I've rolled this over and I've thought about it because there are absolutely examples of games like this that I've enjoyed, you know, here just recently. You know, Life is Strange, right? I think that is a really good experience and a good story that is, you know, sometimes well told and other times well sketched. Until Dawn is another kind of example of that. It's hard for me to kind of like isolate and identify why both of those games, which are David Cage as fuck, why those succeed for me when his stuff doesn't. And it literally may just be genre, it may just be aesthetic, it may just be the storytelling choices. It was a story that I was more interested in. There's also the aspect that, and I feel like this, and again, this is, I know I'm hammering on Kojima, but like part of it is like David Cage and Kojima also, I don't think like they would not be good if they were good, if they were movies. Right. Life is Strange would make a great movie. Like that would be fine. You know, Until Dawn would be like a great movie. The fact it's not just that they're on that continuum, it's that they're inept at it. Yeah. Like, you know, and more like David Cage way worse than Kojima, right? Like Kojima's a better storyteller than David Cage is. That's the faintest praise I can manage for anything. But it's true. Yeah. You know? But yeah, the idea that like it's just also being bad at it. So I think there tends to be a comorbidity of these very cinematic games with also, you know, and this is the last part of the question, like people who don't understand it. Like, and it's not just not understanding the cinematics and the visual aspects, it's just bad storytelling. Yeah. You know, like David Cage is a terrible storyteller. Right. You know, and that's like the thing that he wants to be able to do. That's like his whole point. Yeah. So, you know, when you can just like look at him and say, hey man, The Beast Within is still like a million times better than things you make. Yeah, it's still better than what you've done here. Yeah. Well, there's also like an interesting part of this too, is like the balance in non games of these examples that aren't so far. Yeah. Which also happened. Like it's the thing that makes me dread like ever trying to replay Okami. Because it's 15 minutes before you can play Okami. Yeah. To no good end. You know, like no real reason 15 for that. Minutes. Dear God, it's like 45.
It's a long time before you can actually play. I think it's 15, and then you can like run around a little bit, but you don't actually get out of the town opening area until like quite a bit further into the game. And that's like a pacing thing. Like that's something where cinematic storytelling and cinematics and games impact pacing. In a way that, and this isn't universal. Like I know some, like who's on the Slack, really loves setting down the controller for 45 minutes and then picking it back up for a half hour.
Yeah.
And like,
if you have an appetite for it, then, I'm not going to take it off your plate.
No. Yeah. People dig it. Right. Yeah. Like I just, to me, I want to be engaged at like kind of a rapid clip, even a game that's going to have like talky parts, right? Like we did Baldur's Gate 2, and I love the pacing of that game. There's a lot of reading involved in that game. So you have those kind of downtime moments, or like, a perennial example like Deus Ex, like you go back to UNATCO and you're not fighting or anything. You're going back and you're learning about missions and seeing what your friends and stuff think about what happened.
Yeah.
That's downtime.
Yeah.
But the proportions just have to be correct.
For me, like one of the perfect marriages of this is something like Mass Effect 2, which as a structure is like 2 seasons of a television show married to each other. The first season's getting the gang together. Second season is, becoming the team and then taking over and then taking on the enemy. Each of those individual missions, is probably about an hour of being in this highly dramatic situation with the combat and dialogue choices all kind of interleaving with each other, bookended by, like what happened on a Firefly, like we're on the ship and here's how we figure out what's going on. And then we end with everybody talking about how it landed. Cinema is not necessarily where I think the best examples of this pull from. It's television, and there was that kind of embarrassing fad of, Alone in the Dark, 2008, or Alan Wake, where it was like literally on the next episode of, so like taking this, television series or, DVD box set style approach. Like that is the most superficial approach to it. See also, like a good example of this, like the substantive pull is again The Witcher 3 or Alpha Protocol, where each of those missions, is like a little mini series mixed in,
Yeah, has that kind of that good episodic feel.
Yeah, just make it feel episodic, even if it is Hitman. Make it feel episodic, even if it is not strictly episodic.
Because some of the stories that these games are trying to kind of ape were never meant to be stretched that long. Like that's a big thing that is part of, like, it's not a question we'll get to at some point, but like it's a question about falling out of love with genre. And they mentioned me and JRPGs. And it's just like, none of these stories should be 50 hours long. Like no. You can't stretch the story of Star Wars essentially to 50 hours. Yeah. And like, unless you did it like a TV show.
Yeah. Give me arcs.
Like a TV show has arcs and natural kind of stopping points. And that's something that like Witcher was really good at doing. Again, just using it as a perennial example of getting a lot of things right. Yeah. Like, hey, this is the Bloody Baron arc. And here is the Witches arc. And here is, here is the Skellige politics arc. Yeah. Like, that's what that felt like. Whereas like something like we don't have to get into it because we're already running a little bit long, but like, so the idea that the Final Fantasy VII remake only does Midgar and they don't know how many games it is. Fuck that. That's so dumb. Like, how are you going to stretch that story up to, like, Midgar is half of the first disc.
Yeah.
What crimes are you going to do stretching that out?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to add?
How much sawdust going to be in that meatloaf?
Yeah. or how many eggs and steaks and pies and other things you're going to try to put in there that are not going to make this harmonious.
Right.
Like, oh, you trust Modern Square to fill out. What if like the whole thing, that's a regular game. It's just Midgard, it's 60 hours. If that's one, what if the whole thing is, I don't know, like 300 hours? It's 5 60-hour games.
God damn it.
To match that pace. You're telling me you trust Modern Square to come up with 250 hours of like characterization and plot? That still has to hit all of the beats that Final Fantasy VII hits.
All of these scattered, poorly conveyed beats.
Yeah, nostalgia beats.
Yeah. Additionally, when their storytelling and characterization kind of tendencies and values have marched on from the things that are especially appealing about the weird kind of monstrosity that Final Fantasy VII's story and characterization were.
Yeah. That feels like such a train wreck to me.
I am incredibly skeptical, no matter how much, admittedly those promotional materials successfully press nostalgia buttons for me, but just kind of like, you just know, you are grabbing me by the nose. You are pulling this chain and I do not have to follow.
No, we do not have to eat it up. I just think it's just so weird to me. Cause it's like, I agree. We were talking about in the Slack and I agree that like, Final Fantasy VII could use some expansion.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could do this as 2-gate. Like don't just leave Midgar. Fuck that. Like Midgar is a very small part of that game actually. Mm-hmm. First game should not be Midgar, but like you could do it as 2 60-hour games and expand on the characters, include some deleted scenes, clarify the story. Yeah. That's the right amount of time.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's just Midgar and they're saying we don't know how many it's going to be just is so many fucking red flags.
Yeah.
It is crazy to me.
The only reason to make it, and this is just a whole separate topic, the only reasons to say we don't know how many it's going to be are if the decision is going to be dictated by business, like how many do we think we can get away with selling, or the decision is dictated by just a complete disregard for what would actually be best for the experience. What's the point in planning? We'll just see how it goes. And what you're going to do is make something that A, might never finish, and B, if it does, be incredibly inconsistent compared to if you had conceived it from beginning to end. What it feels like is, okay, this shit's been in development for 6 years or whatever. We need to release something, or else, Papa Square, Daddy's Sony is not going to give us money anymore. So, rush. We'll answer these important questions later. It inspires a lot of skepticism.
And I'm just trying to imagine the scope creep that would happen to confine Midgar to 60 hours. Like whatever these things that are worrisome are already evident in that first game.
Yeah.
Because Midgar is not a 60-hour experience.
No.
Like I played through that game relatively recently, and it's like and liked it. Like this is not me bagging on it. Like I had a good time revisiting Final Fantasy VII. I cannot imagine that.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be fun to see the music and see the creatures and characters.
Yeah.
But anywho, so that plays into this because I think that they're probably going to pad that out with a lot of cinematic stuff.
Yeah.
And then combat that will take a very long time because it'll probably be more interesting.
Yeah.
Than it was in Final Fantasy VII, but I don't think I think it's a really bad idea.
Yeah. I also don't want anybody listening to think I'm pulling some kind of tough guy thing where like, it's not going to work on me. I'm not going to get it. I'll probably get that. Like I'm it's one of these things where I'm not going to vote with my dollars. Like I'm probably going to succumb to it. So don't think that I'm that principled.
I'm that principled. I'll be the person that's that principled this time. Yeah. I'm not, I wasn't that. I don't like modern Square games. Yeah. So I don't want to play a modern Final Fantasy. Like those are bad. Mm-hmm. So thank you. That's we kind of rambly around that, but I think we mostly got it. Yeah. Let's shoot through some lightning rounds and then get to responses.
Yeah. We just do these things. So Eli says, how do y'all take your coffee?
I take my coffee with cream, specifically cow cream. Like I tried artificial other creams. I don't like them. And Splenda. Yeah.
I take it with a little bit of cream, like in a medium coffee, one creamer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andy says boxers or briefs. Boxers for me.
As the situation demands.
Yep. I have a pair of briefs. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of them. They're very funny. They're like man panties. Yeah. Like they don't look like briefs. Like, and that was the result of not wanting to do laundry.
Yeah. No. Different situations call for different regats.
What is your brief situation like, Cole?
My brief situation, if I'm going to be doing any kind of like physical activity. Yeah.
And boxers are more of a relaxing.
Yeah, boxers are for kicking it around the house. Boxers are for socializing. Boxer briefs are for being around.
Yeah,
in
for doing a little bit
in the world. Yeah,
Yeah, and free balling it is for showering.
Yeah, I don't necessarily free ball. I like the support. Yeah.
I said for showering. I assume you don't wear underwear in the shower. I'm just making a joke.
Oh, okay.
Unless you need the support in the shower.
My situation's a fucking nightmare, Garrett.
Yeah, I got a Squamish unit. And
Gabriel writes, how do you guys like your cheeseburgers? How do you like the meat cooked, and what are your preferred toppings? What toppings do you find unacceptable?
If I could, I would just rattle off the cheeseburger in paradise refrain, which is one of the funniest middle eights of any song that's ever been.
Yeah.
Do you know that song by Jimmy Buffett?
Oh, of course I do. Cool.
Yeah. I like mine with lettuce and tomatoes.
Yeah.
Mine's 57 and French fried potatoes. I guess I do remember it. Yeah, how do you take your burg? How do you burg?
Depends on how much I trust the place. If I don't trust the place, medium well. If I do trust the place, medium. I prefer raw onions to sauteed, but I will take sauteed. Barbecue sauce instead of ketchup. I think is the pro way to go. And unacceptable, any kind of mushroom. I don't like a mushroom on a burger.
Yeah. Interesting. I do medium, kind of no matter where. I don't really like a rare burger. I can eat a rare steak. I don't really like a rare cheeseburger though.
Right.
And then I like almost everything. I don't do those like challenge burgers where it's like, here's an egg and here's a ham sandwich and all that shit. But I like mushrooms, like onions. I prefer a cooked onion. I prefer cooked vegetables in general. And cheese, I prefer cheddar.
Yeah.
And sauce wise, I prefer unless I'm at like a barbecue, instead of ketchup and mustard, I prefer mayonnaise. I know that you do not like mayonnaise. And then there's nothing really unacceptable. The one thing that comes up a lot, I stopped getting bacon on burgers, even though it tastes good, because people were overcooking it.
Yeah.
So it's just this like just charred, crunchy bits that I did not care for.
No. Don't put bacon on a sandwich if you wouldn't eat that piece of bacon by itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So crunchy bacon is my unacceptable.
Yes.
For that.
Good answer.
Zom says, what's your most regional or unheard of food or snack that you enjoy that we maybe have never heard about?
Geta.
What's a geta?
Geta is a pork product that is native to the Cincinnati and North Kentucky area. It is pork and pin oats. Yeah. And it's kind of like Scrapple. People on the East Coast might know that. But yeah, you just cut off a slice of it and you just fry it up real crispy and you put it on a sandwich or there. Yeah. No, it is especially good. And there are areas of Cincinnati where they make it where if you're just walking around, it smells like it and it's good.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pig is the miracle beast. Portland doesn't have a regional food. Like we have really good food here, but we don't have like a signature food really.
Yeah.
So I do not have such a regional snack. As far as unheard of snack, I've talked about. So I'll do a new one because I was going to say Doritos and cottage cheese, which is very good. But because I'm trying to eat fewer carbs, I replaced my chip intake with pork rind intake. Oh, I'm so worried about you. You eat pork rinds too much.
Is somebody coming at you on Twitter?
No.
Okay.
No, I just realized that I'm like mentioning a lot of food.
Yeah.
There, but I've been doing pork rinds, and then I've been dipping those in hummus.
Okay.
Or like a queso.
A lot of protein. Yeah.
Oh yeah, tons of protein. Pork rinds are salty. Like they're fatty, they're not good for you, but they no carbs. Yeah, no carbs. Other stuff. That's why I'm typically trying to watch.
A tortilla chip is both salty, fatty, and has carbs.
Yes, so I'm eliminating at least one of those things. Right. And so like pork rinds, you can dip them as well.
now dippable.
Now dippable. A dippable rind.
Yeah. Do we want to do one? Want to do one more?
Let's do one more.
Yeah. David writes, what is your sweet spot in terms of time between a game being announced and it being released? Less than 6 months.
I don't have an opinion on this, I guess.
No?
It's weird. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't get super hyped. I talk about that. It's not a weird brag. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just have too much stuff to play. So like, there's games coming out that I know I want to play. It's gonna be cool when they come out. Until then, I have plenty of stuff to play.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I'm glad it's more like it's abstract. Like the future is all just one big box.
Yeah.
And I'm glad there are things in that, but that future is 5 years.
Yes.
The next 5 years. So.
Yes. Soon is what it all is. Yeah.
No. Let us answer people's questions. Or no. Read their responses.
Read their responses. Yes.
Yes. The opposite of that.
I'm making an executive decision, or I'm putting it to people if they prefer. Gary, I'm tired of saying it via contact at the beginning of these.
I'm never going to stop saying via contact.
So I knew you would dig in. What I would like to do is replace via contact with, here is John from Cincinnati. That was a show. No.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you make up the location, but if you end your message with where you are from, be it country, be it state, be it city, I would prefer to say that.
I'm fine with that. I will also throw out, you don't have to do that.
No, you can make
also
it up.
Just say your name.
Yeah, you can.
Well, you don't have to make it up. You don't want to play this game. Don't jigsaw them, Cole. Like, if you don't want to play this comedy game with us, you can also just say your name.
Yes, that is
I don't know
fine.
why we feel like we have to say something after a person's name anyway, but we do for some reason.
because I tried leaving it off and you got so uncomfortable that you started inserting it again.
It feels weird, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to feel weird when we say from Cincinnati or whatever too, but let's find out. Like, via contact is like what if we change it to Viva Contact and we're talking about the movie? What if every time after this we just remember how good that Jodie Foster movie is? Viva Contact. That's how I'm going to do that. So I'm switching to Viva Contact, and you can read the names where people are from.
All right.
I'll get us started here with responses about Into the Breach. Warren says, Viva Contact. I'm so glad you covered Into the Breach. After hearing people talk about it on the level, I decided to give it a shot. I love the simplicity of this while still having it be challenging. All the mechanics are so simple that you can learn the basics of the game in a matter of minutes, but mastering it will take some time. I had been playing since shortly after it came out on the Switch. It might be my most played game on the Switch. We forgot that when we were talking about Switch games, but it's really up there for me as well. As editorializing. But I never figured out how to change my pilot or squad until listening to the episode. Since then, I've been playing incessantly and have all the squads unlocked except for the Secret Squad and all but 3 of the pilots. This game rekindled my love of turn-based games and in-turn CRPGs. Currently playing through Divinity Original Sin 2, woohoo, and with a group of friends, and we'll be starting Baldur's Gate 2 after that. Also jumping back into XCOM 2 for more turn-based strategy. Warren, we are of a piece. All I want is crunchy systems and tactics right now.
Yeah.
It's felt great.
That notion about Into the Breach being, very easy to learn. I forget if we talked about it, but just the idea that every single map just fits on the screen, no matter what size that screen is, and it's always the same size. There's something that just makes it feel like you can just fit more of it in your head. Like it is
chess DNA. It's the small numbers.
Yeah.
As applied to space.
That is such a smart aesthetic decision to keep it like that.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
Yeah. Zane writes via contact, I've been working on a board game for some time, tinkering here and there to make it more streamlined and interesting without overcomplicating it. But when you described Into the Breach as a puzzle game, something clicked for me. The way the game delivers a series of small puzzles within a single battle, in which it's difficult to predict too far into the future, and you want to spend time figuring out the best way to achieve all your goals with your limited resources, makes for a really compelling video game. Unfortunately, it doesn't work when 4 players are trying to do this simultaneously, which I realized was happening in my board game. After realizing this and watching the GDC talk that you mentioned, where they tout the merits of streamlining gameplay, I've given my game an overhaul. It's more suitable to the medium now, and I'm optimistic about the project once more. Thanks for doing the sort of analysis that helps your audience see games in a new light.
Oh, thanks, Zane.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck with the board game.
Yeah.
I think that'll be awesome. So it's very cool that you're making the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. I hope it works.
Yeah. I don't have I've never designed a board game, so I can't talk more about that.
No, yeah, me either.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Eric says, Viva Contact. So I have only one major problem with the excellent video game Into the Breach, and it is very specific and very nitpicky.
Well, welcome to the show.
I was at the end of a run with the hazardous mechs, and things were, not to brag, going very well. 4 islands down, my mechs almost fully upgraded, and my grid at 2 bars, but with the knowledge that I had about a dozen reputation to spend. I was going into the last mission assuming that I'd get at least 2 new achievements, if not 3, as long as I didn't absolutely bone it. Well, what ended up happening was that my hand slipped, causing me to choose an end island reward that I would never ever take. Self-destruct? Come on now. And then slipped again, pressing me forward to the world map. unless I missed something, you can't access the shop screen at that point. I was at the game's end with basically 0 grid and a big sack of unusable reputation. It's a vile euphemism.
You need to find the repairer.
Yeah. Disgusted, I said, I'm done with you, and turn off the game, never to return. It just seems so weird to me that such a fine-tuned game wouldn't ask, hey, do you want to spend all this otherwise useless resource before the last mission?
No.
Granted, I'm writing this about a half hour after this unfortunate incident, so I probably returned numerous times Into the Breach by now. It's a game that I like so much that the only flaw I can find is one tiny, insanely nitpicky thing. I'm not calling you out. I feel like it does that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've accidentally left the thing and it's been like, are you sure? And maybe you just double clicked. Like maybe it defaults to yes or something like that.
Yeah.
But I really thought it did ask you that. Like, are you sure unused reputation will go away or something like that?
Yeah, I will come at you. All these accidents in a row. Is this like an Austin Powers, oops, I fell over. Oops, I fell over kind of thing?
He's trying to fall on top of a model. Like Austin Powers was. You he liked to fall down on models.
Yeah, it was just the thing he did.
It was kind of Austin. That's kind of his bag.
Baby.
No.
Yeah, that sucks that it ruined your run. That is a fair amount of time down a hole.
That's a bummer.
Yeah,
that is a big bummer for sure.
John writes via contact, I don't normally play the game of the week at the same time it appears on a podcast. Even games that I like Pyre or Alpha Protocol or The Dishonored, I never got the urge to play them once I heard you were covering it. I like playing games on my own time, doing my own thing, but not this month. Into the Breach was my favorite game of last year. Puzzle game is a perfect description for this. It has enough procedural generation to keep things fresh, but enough missions that are designed to help me choose which map is the best which map next best to tackle. Thank you. There are so many varieties to the mechs, including a bunch that make you wonder why you'd ever play them. Even changing one mech out from a normal team makes a huge difference in the way you play. Each class of mech feels unique, and the science class is like a bunch of unique. My only gripe is more detail on why everything is happening, because why are there only islands under attack? Or why Major HQ are on islands, because that seems nuts. I found Into the Breach really easy to gain all the achievements, and I still wanted to play, giving myself goals to aspire to. Not many games inspire me to this extent.
Yeah. Again, like kind of dovetailing into that when you're done with the game.
Yeah.
Kind of question. Like, this is the thing where you get all the achievements, you 100% it, but you're done when you don't feel like playing it anymore.
Yeah, because there are still those little collisions that you can seek out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or just the pleasure of randomly generated puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. I think they're on islands because of global warming.
Yep.
I think that's in like the lore somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great game. Love it. I'm glad people have definitely responded to it very well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's super good. Andrew says via contact, I'm not sure if Into the Breach was my favorite game that I played in 2018. There was some strong competition, but it's definitely the most perfect game that I played in 2018. I pretty much only play games on the train to and from work, but Into the Breach was one of those games like Breath of the Wild and Hollow Knight that I found myself playing at every opportunity I could. I had to unlock the secret squad and win a run with them before I could move on to something else. But once it was announced for WAF and started getting talked about in the Slack again, the itch came back. Even though I'd quote-unquote done everything, I was still finding new aha moments in my first run back. Unlike some other run-based games that claim to offer multiple playstyles, but tend to reward only one, the more time you spend with Into the Breach, the more you realize that each squad offers its own different but similarly effective strategy towards a perfect run, except the Steel of Jidoka. Other than the useless Rasselbot, the only slight knocks I have against the game are the couple of really unfun achievements. While the vast majority nudge you to vital strategies or offer challenging but rewarding alternative ways to play, Chronophobia, Trick Shot, and Lightning War can all get crushed by the benevolent and mighty Terraformer. When your whole progression style is achievement-based, it's tough to just ignore the bad ones.
Yeah.
Like seemingly everyone else who's played the game, I have a bunch of suggestions for what I'd love to see for DLC. Aside from another island or more squads, just imagine the alternate mode possibilities. Bespoke campaigns for each squad, one-turn pre-crafted puzzle missions that would get really drive home the newspaper test puzzle comparison, versus modes where one person gets to set up the Vec attack each turn in an attempt to baffle their friend or enemy. And yet I started playing again half a year later without any new content to speak of. And I could probably keep playing indefinitely. You might as well make DLC for chess. That's a great idea. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has wondered if the bishop story really ended when the game did. Yeah, this is all. I think we talked about those achievement things, but I know I've drawn this on another podcast. I can't remember if it's in the breach, but Enter the Gungeon, which is my like du jour roguelike game right now, also has a problem with that, where they have some achievements and unlocks that are tied around like, hey, do less of the fun thing in the game.
Yeah.
Like there's this whole shortcut system where it's like, hey, get to the 5th floor with 6 keys. And it's like, hey, that means I didn't open chest and that's less fun.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like, I don't want to destroy time pods. It's like the fun part of the game, dude.
Yeah.
You know, get off my dick. So like that kind of thing, like making achievements or progress tied to playing the game in a less fun way.
Yeah. It baffles me when I see people complain about like, oh, Demon Souls, I couldn't platinum it, or it was a nightmare platinuming it, you know, trying to get all the upgrade materials to get that one achievement about getting all the weapons or what have you. It's like, well, just don't do it. It's fine. Yeah. But like when that achievement system, you know, is standing between you and finishing the game, quote unquote, that is a problem, and it is worth talking about the bad ones because, you know, just inconsiderate design sometimes.
When you, for sure. When you tie progress, when you put content behind it, this is all great stuff for the future achievement episode of the show eventually. Agreed on all that stuff. Even though after we did the episode, some real Steel Judoka fans came out of the woodwork. Yeah. As well. So some people actually really like that squad, which I still do not know how to do them. But
I don't think we were straight up like dunking on them. I think that would just neither of us knew how to use them. And so we're like, yeah, this probably has a good use. We just couldn't discern it. Yeah.
We did not change our names to Dunkachino.
No.
But yeah.
So about the 7th guest and the 11th hour, only one response, and it's from Doug, the fan who executive produced the episode. Doug writes, first, thank you again for an incredible episode. You absolutely did justice to these games. Your criticism was spot on, though I nevertheless remain snuggled in my nostalgia armor. I selected the 7th guest for a dictation for a few different reasons. As you found, I think it occupies a truly interesting space in the history of games, even if it is mostly an evolutionary dead end. Beyond that, I think puzzles are worth examining as they are, in a sense, the hydrogen atom of gameplay. But from a personal standpoint, I know I probably would not be an attorney today without my subscription to Games Magazine. Yes, I had one, all the cool kids did, and the 7th guest. That's why, for all its flaws, I'll still revisit it from time to time. Despite its failings, its spooky-ooky heart is generally in the right place. Even when it misses the mark, it has a waiting for Guffman earnestness that makes visiting the Stauff mansion again charming enough to be worthwhile. As for the 11th hour, well, some cannot be created more equal than others.
That's a great response.
Yeah. I would be very curious how the 7th guest made you into an attorney. That's kind of a thread that was dropped.
Well, I think he just means he pairs with Games Magazine, so I think he just means like logic puzzles, like developing an analytical mind.
Yeah, okay.
You know, because the puzzles from the 7th guest are basically Games Magazine.
Yeah.
Games Magazine like is something that as a kid I like would pick up every once in a while when I was sick. Or I'd have my mom pick up, and now I think like maybe that would be fun to have like a subscription to that.
Yeah,
I wonder what that costs. Like just having this book of puzzles to deal with, to fuck around with.
Yeah, I never messed around with those, so in my Games Magazine is not a thing in my experience.
Okay, it's 7th guest puzzles basically. Even though like now there are all these spin-offs of it, so they'll be like mostly crosswords or mostly Sudoku or what have you.
Yeah,
which were like if it were like a thing of mixed nuts, the crosswords are like the peanuts in Games Magazine. Like I like a crossword puzzle, but like
you need a maximum crossword guarantee.
Exactly, 40% crossword at best.
Yeah.
I wanted some weird stuff, but yeah, I agree. The idea of puzzles as the hydrogen atom of gameplay is really interesting because the, depending on how you gerrymander definitions, like, puzzle doesn't take too many steps removed to like problem.
Yeah.
And then problem doesn't, that's broad enough to encapsulate almost everything you do in a game.
Yeah.
So it's not like, but there is there's something there.
Yeah.
the idea. Like, it's not a puzzle how to get Mario to jump over a Goomba, but it is a problem.
Yeah.
And they are like a things you solve through a series of inputs, and but it's like how much thinking is involved versus how much like reaction is involved.
Yeah.
It's like something there.
There's a very good chapter in the book Everything Bad is Good for You that does a good job of doing that extrapolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is it's interesting. Yeah, so thank you, Doug. And thank you again for supporting the month and the episode.
Yes.
So yeah. Moving on to responses about Tetris. Samuel says, Viva Contact. Just in on the off chance that you guys haven't played it, definitely check out the Tetris Battle Gaiden on Super Famicom. It has a really unique versus mode that isn't in any other version. I haven't gotten around to playing it on anything but emulators, but it's not particularly expensive, and modding an SNES to play Super Famicom games just takes needle-nose pliers and some elbow grease. Regardless, can't wait for the Tetris episode. I'm a weirdo who imported the physical Japanese copy of Puyo Puyo Tetris so I could get it on PlayStation Vita. Vita Contact.
Viva Vita.
So yeah, I have not played that one.
No, a couple of people. So somebody recommended, new Tetris 3 or something like that.
There's a Super Tetris 3.
Yeah, Super Tetris 3.
I saw that.
Yeah.
This made me think, because you think about like where they go to Tetris, where is there still to go, and you think nothing, and then they surprise you with cool new stuff.
Right.
I would still pay for a Tetris that was like, here's every variant of Tetris that has ever been officially licensed.
Yeah.
Like here's 60 versions of Tetris.
Yeah.
Just a menu.
Tetris Anniversary Collection.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yep. Turn stuff
just
on.
having all these weird variants, even though I don't tend to like those, I would like to flip through them,
Yeah. Or just like hyper granular stuff. So like I want to turn off Infinity Spin, but I want to have the ability to do the new Tetris Mega Blocks.
Yeah. Make it granular. Like Tetris Build It or whatever. That'd be cool.
Tetris Maker.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
which is just everybody's like game design 101 class. Is Tetris Maker.
Yeah,
it's
you
very
make the
expensive.
clocks and then you make the Tetris.
There's an online project that I want to try called like NAND Tetris, which is a computer science thing, but it is designing Tetris from the NAND gate up.
Okay.
So it's like circuit design up to like OS design and then kind of programming Tetris like that. Yeah. Just seems like it'd be a fun project.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Kian, or Cian, I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name, says via contact, if you purchased Tetris Effect during the first week of its release, you could receive the classic Tetris theme as part of the weekly ritual that takes place every Saturday. Less fortunate fans of the series, myself included, instead had to grind to level 50 before this would be unlocked. To put that in perspective, getting through the campaign only brought me to level 16. Grinding the more experience-efficient modes quickly became tedious, but now that I have unlocked the classic theme, I can say that it was 100% worth it. Now, only another 50 levels to Grandmaster.
I did not know about that.
Neither did I.
I knew that it was giving me a level, but I ignored it. And I cannot imagine grinding Tetris Effect. Personally,
No.
I would like a classic theme is appealing to me, and whatever they do with it, it would be cool to play through. But I just can't imagine grinding Tetris Effect.
It's a weird thing, right? Because I can play a shitload of Tetris, and I have been since we recorded that episode. But the idea of watching like a little meter tick up just a little bit, for some reason feels joyless to me. And I don't mean to invalidate your effort that you've put in. No, I'd probably spend $4 on a classic Tetris theme for.
Yeah. They could just sell it to me.
Yeah.
That's neat. I didn't know it existed though, so I'm definitely gonna look it up on YouTube.
Yeah,
because I want to see what they do with the music for it. So cool. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
Michael says, "Viva Contact." At its core, all Tetris games consist of tetronymos falling down the screen, and we clear lines, with changing very little things like the number of tetronymos on the preview and being able to hold one piece change the pace of the game greatly. In the original Tetris, there is only one preview piece, and the pieces lock into the board incredibly quickly, and T-spins don't exist as a score multiplier. This makes the original Tetris incredibly reactive, focusing purely on getting Tetrises. By adding more pieces to the preview and the ability to hold the piece, different types of score multipliers, and delaying the lock into the board turns the game into falling chess. Modern Tetris requires thinking 3 or 4 pieces ahead to play at the ludicrous speeds it's played at. Finally, the randomization of the pieces that show up has changed. Pieces used to be purely random, and now in modern Tetris, they are random in pools, so you can't get 3 L pieces in a row or a drought of 40 pieces before your next line. The tiniest changes make the game so different. If you guys want more Tetris info, check out this classic Tetris championship, the Tetris AGDQ runs, or Tafokints on YouTube, or your local library. He does not include the local library.
No.
There's an implied local library at the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt very satisfied. Like, it was very gratifying to graduate to the level of Tetris where I was looking more than one piece ahead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like by the time my hands are enacting the work of placing the piece, I am already, I am already looking down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's you're right that it does change. Like, it's the thing of the things I don't really understand the pushback against those added features, because I do think that it just adds strategic depth.
Yeah.
To the game. Like, falling chess is a fun way to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gabe writes via contact, I imagine many of your responses will be similar to this observation. Tetris is a game that scratches an itch in our fundamental existence in a universe based on Euclidean geometry. It is
surprisingly no. You're the first person to bring up that phrase, Gabe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It is a ballet of space and time set to Tchaikovsky. It is a game that beckons something deeper to the core of existence. In short, the quantity of blocks, mixture of shapes, and speed at which they move is as close to perfect as any game I've ever played. That said, I'd like to share a funny story. Last year at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, I was watching the Tetris World Championship. I felt what I imagine to be the exhilaration that sports fans feel when they watch the Sports Bowl. I noticed even the police officers taking their eyes off their duty to watch the championship. Tetris is a game that can appeal to anyone in any demographic. My older sister, who hates video games, will even ask to play. This simply reinforces my view on the previous statement about Tetris being near perfect. So they go on to say nice things and say that they hope to see us at PRGE again.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Coming out. We just, because a couple of people have asked this, we're still doing PRGE even though we're doing Duckfest.
Yes.
So, yep, both.
We have a table,
Maybe.
all that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I still really want to watch Tetris World Championships. I just haven't wanted to watch it on YouTube. Like, it is ideally a thing that would be really fun to do live and in person.
Yeah, there's something about being in a room and holding your breath at the same time a bunch of people are holding their breath.
Yeah. Like at the bottom of the ocean.
I explained it like I was an alien. I didn't mean to, but you know what I mean, right? Just the collective suspense,
Yes. Yeah. I was just teasing you. Yeah. And hopefully we do see you at PRGE.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, moving on to, we got one response to the Adventures of Lolo. Andrew says via contact. Boy, oh boy, it was a mistake to try to play this a couple months after Baba Is You. I constantly found myself hitting the X button on my Switch, Baba's rewind button, every time Lolo pushed a block one move too far. I enjoyed the first couple floors of Lolo when I thought that the play loop of the game was see a new creature, figure out how it works, overcome it, a Sokoban safari, if you will. Once I realized there are actually 5 creatures, it became a lot less interesting to me. I know this is a taste thing, but every Sokoban variant is only fun to me for as long as it can manage to not be Sokoban. Lolo managed about 5 floors, which is pretty good. But those 5 floors were frustrating as I'd constantly have to reset more and more often. Not because I didn't know the solution, but because executing the solution felt so fidgety. It's the opposite of what I love about Baba. I want to be forced to think outside the box, not gingerly guide the box over and over because I keep accidentally pushing it 1 iota past where it needs to be. Is it fair to compare an NES game to a modern game without acknowledging the context of the time and technology limits? Maybe not. But I'm not writing a top 10 Sokoban of all time list. I'm deciding how to spend my limited time on Earth. Anyway, have you played Baba Is You? Baba Is You is very good. It'll break your brain in fun, challenging ways, and it took at least 10 hours or more for it to become Sokoban. Even then, it still has a lot of levels that aren't really. I'm sure Baba took a lot of inspiration from Lolo, including the name, I'd guess, and I appreciate it for that. But you're really telling me there's no way to let you know which hearts and how many hearts would activate your power and give you egg balls?
Please don't give me egg balls.
Yeah, I just would prefer not.
Yeah.
To have egg balls.
No me gusta huevos.
No Viva. No Viva egg balls. Egg balls y el diablo.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't I played a little bit of Baba Is You. I got it and played a little bit of it and then got distracted for assignment play.
Yeah.
And have not gone back to it, even though like I dig it. I will play it. I do think that it's unfair to compare them because it's like not in what you play, but in terms of like how good they are, because there's like 40 years of difference between them.
Right.
You know, or something like that. So it feels mildly unfair. I'm not calling you out based on that, but I do, or 30 years of difference.
Yeah.
So it just feels like, yeah, they're going to be like super different, like the same way comparing Jumpman to Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. Just markedly different levels of sophistication. You know? So you know, if you talk about them in the same breath, it is not to evaluate them and hold one up against the other. It is more to decide what one owes the other. Right.
Yeah. And to me, I felt like, you know, we came down on Lolo pretty positively because it's breezy and does not take very long. Like if it were meant to be like a grueling long experience.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have save states for later like levels to get past that rewind thing, I might have felt worse about it.
Yeah.
But evaluating it as a thing, like I kind of dig it. Baba Is You is probably much better. It's, you know, Lolo is not trying to blow your mind. No. Like the same way Baba Is You is.
Yeah. I like Baba Is You. It took a lot longer to get to the point where it felt too much for me than I expected it to.
Yeah. Because all the puzzle masochists that we're friends with love it.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, okay, like my puzzle masochist friends like it, so it's not for me. You know, this is going to be a Steven Sausage Roll situation. Like this is not going to be, you know, but it's not that, which I really like. It's a lot more accessible than such. Yeah.
That's good.
It's cool. Yeah. I dig it. So yeah, thanks everybody for writing in. If you have responses about the games we're going to cover, hit us up at Duckfeed.tv/contact. We're going to announce July and August now. If you have questions for us and you want to ask for these episodes, hit us up on Patreon at patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. And we are going to be doing a bonus episode, which patrons only shall get.
Yes.
So patronize us if you want to hear a bonus dispatch.
Yes, a bonus dispatch where we kind of clean up because a lot of the responses have backed up. So we want to.
So we want everyone to get their questions answered. We're just going to go ham on some questions and topics and kind of freeball it. We'll not have associated responses.
Yes. But. Viva Hamon. Viva Hamon.
Viva
so yes, if you have thoughts about the games for July is our final theme month. It is 3D platformer month. So thoughts about A Hat in Time, Psychonauts, or Mirror's Edge. The deadline will be July the 15th.
And so we're finally announcing August, which August, home of the summer JRPG. Like a lot of people were, eagerly anticipating this. I think it's going to go over well.
Yes.
It'll be a crowd pleaser. The first thing we're doing in August is this is a patron request and a guest episode. We're doing Way of the Samurai.
Yep.
A largely forgotten PS2 game that is super cool, cult classic. A lot of people have not played it, and I'm looking forward to replaying it. I played it when I was younger. It's cool as hell.
Me too. It is super neat. It is a game that is designed to be very short and lend itself to multiple playthroughs. Incredibly divergent. Yeah.
Like a Rashomon explicitly thing.
Then our summer JRPG for this year is going to be Final Fantasy V.
Indeed.
Yeah.
A two-parter on the Final Fantasy V.
Yeah.
So we're, I'm have enough appetite for a JRPG to not have to like stuff it in the near hole, but I wanted to do something. I was like, okay, time for Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah,
it was I wanted some systems, and I'm real into systems right now. And Final Fantasy V has amongst the best in the series.
It's got the job system. I'm so excited.
Yep. It's a really good job system.
Yep, I'm gonna play it on the Game Boy Advance.
I've already started my playthrough of it.
So have I, actually, a couple months ago.
I haven't done very much in it, but I started it. We've got another kind of long game of a similar stripe coming the next month.
Yeah,
that I've also started. I was making a pithy tweet and was comparing the first disc of Final Fantasy VII, the remake, ending after Midgar being like a remake of Final Fantasy VII that ends when you get the jobs.
Can you imagine? Final Fantasy V when you get
Final Fantasy V, yeah, like a 60-hour game. Like as soon as the jobs unlock, game's over. What is this, a Xenoblade? Like you can't like introduce systems that late. It's dumb as hell. Yeah, looking forward to Final Fantasy V though, which to me is the most Teflon story in the series. But I love the systems.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then another patron request. The patrons have been killing it with a game we've wanted to do for quite a while. And we're very grateful to be pushed into doing it, which is Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Yep. And that will be our premium episode for that month.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that is the Machine Head Games reboot of Wolfenstein that somehow takes the Nazi killing maze shooter and turns into a game with a unreasonable amount of pathos.
Mm-hmm.
And also setting the stage for us eventually doing The New Blood, which has like one of the best scenes in games of all time in it. So yeah, there's a scene in that is just like absolutely jaw-dropping, showstopper.
Yeah. Like
so good. Yeah. So that's going to be a great month, August. And we have basically the rest of the year planned, and it's all rad.
Yeah.
We still have some slots. So if you're interested in executive producing a game, you still can.
Right.
We're getting now to like October, November as far as when those would go.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some slots. So hit us up if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah. Otherwise though, I mean, thank you so much for listening. If you have it in you, consider going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and consider throwing us a couple of bucks a month. Makes a huge difference for us in terms of being able to dedicate the time that we need to make these shows like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you if you have done that in the past.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Think so.
So yeah, stay tuned for that bonus episode, and thank you for your support and thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Umbasa.
Good night.